We live in a connected world, yet more and more people feel so disconnected. And although businesses seem to have a purpose, it's sometimes difficult to find real people who work with a purpose. Our community can feel like just another geographical location when those who need the most care feel as if no one cares for them. Because she has a heart for people and is a woman of ministry, Dr. Sandra Singleton has organized community care providers. These community professionals are trusted members of a local community who have exhibited purposeful skill and care in their craft. Solutions by Singleton continues to be an online community resource for local communities, and together, we're taking knowledge to new heights. Welcome to Solutions by Singleton.
Hi, my name is Tom Jenkins. I'm with Mold Solutions, and I do mold and odor removal. I've been in business for over 17 years. I'm certified, insured, and very reasonable on the price, not only on mold removal, but also on odor. I do a great job on getting odors out, like pet odors, cat urine, dog urine smells, smoke odors. And I don't charge anything to go out and do a mold inspection. Happy to do that. I work with a lot of realtors, a lot of investors, a lot of property managers, and I consider maybe 10% or 20% of what I do getting rid of mold or killing mold or getting rid of the odors, but really about 80% to 90% is what's causing it. So I consider what I do educating people because I don't like for them to be taken advantage of. And people can pay a lot of money for services that might not be even the right service sometimes. So when I'm go out and look at a mold situation, which we're having a lot of this year because of all the rain that we've had, because of all the dampness, we're having a lot of mold this year. So I've been getting called out a lot. And so I always look at, and I work with an engineer, so we try to come up with the best solution. And I do a lot of what I guess people in the real estate industry call free consulting. And some people tell me that I should charge for that. And I don't think, my thought is that it's going to come back to me, in the form of business if I just educate and inform people. And that's what I do. I just don't want people to be taken advantage of. So I always, when I go out and do a mold estimate, I look at, first of all, what's causing it. So I'll look around the gutters and check the slope of the grade of the land around the house. Sometimes the dirt needs to be built up, but most of the time it's gutters and grading. And what I see quite a bit that some people, they'll call in waterproofing companies because they have a wet crawl space, and they'll talk about putting vapor barriers, and there's nothing wrong with vapor barriers and internal drainage systems, but they're not the first. That's chasing the symptom and what's causing it. So, generally I look to the outside and become situationally aware. I take a holistic approach and don't just, kill the mold, but actually what's causing it. And that can be gutters overflowing, gutters clogged up, they're overflowing, they're draining down the wall of the crawl space. They're hitting the floor, and that water is spreading out across the floor. And a lot of people think maybe that's groundwater, when in actuality, it's probably not. Chances of you being on a ground spring are pretty rare. So what is causing it is the rain. When it comes down, the gutters are overflowing, and then the earth around the house is flat or graded down, and that makes water go into the house or into the crawl space. So a simple fix for that would be clean the gutters and build the dirt up around the house, which is easy to do and relatively inexpensive, and it's fixing the cause and not the symptom. So it's cost effective, and it's the right solution a lot of the time. So the most costly and elaborate solution is not always the right, not always the right, the best one, not even always the right one. So I do that, and then I do a lot of that, and that's helpful with people. And then the other thing is, is it going to come back? And, it's just some this is the educational part, some common sense tips for the day is what you can do, and especially in this region of the country, is the best thing you can do is put in a dehumidifier in your basement. And that's very important because not to get too detailed, but the magic number when you're going to have issues with mold is when you hit dew point. That's when that's when the air condenses and it can't contain the water vapor, and it comes out and it causes moisture in the house. And mold is a fungus, and fungus is water activated. So now you've got food for mold. So the best thing you can do with all these elaborate solutions and expensive solutions out there is what's going to actually be the most effective. And which is what I do. I run a dehumidifier in my house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's hard to measure dew point sometimes, really, but what I've come up with is that rule of thumb number is 60% humidity. If you're over 60% humidity in your home, you're going to have more issues than if you're under 60% humidity. And the higher over you are 60%, the more issues. The farther below 60% humidity, the less issues. Well, if you go down in a basement, you're probably at 60% humidity or above. You can feel it. I can feel it in my basement when I go down there. So if the circuit breaker kicks off or the hose gets clogged and the dehumidifier goes off, I don't have to go more than 3 steps down my basement to know that it's not working, because I feel it and I can smell it. So, and the humidity is 60% or above at this point. And I turn it back on, and in about 20 minutes, we're down to about 32% humidity again. Well, that's the difference between having mold and not having mold. Tip for the day. And that's a relatively inexpensive fix. I guess if you take away anything from this talk, it's get a dehumidifier for your basement or a crawl space if you can fit it in there, because that will give you about a 32 to 34% humidity, depending on your basement or your crawl space. And it's about a $229 fix at one of the home improvement stores. And I like the 50 pine. I use Toshiba 50 pine. It's not an advertisement for them, but I just like that dehumidifier. It's a relatively inexpensive fix, and it makes for a healthy home environment. So, and finally, how do you kill mold? And this is kind of the crux of what I do. I've done it for the last 17 years. I'm certified, I'm insured. And 2 ways to kill mold, I guess. One is chemicals, and the other would be a gas. And the science is now that if you're not killing mold with ozone, you're not killing mold. And the fancy term for it is 3D interfacing. And all that means is if you look at the wall in your home, it looks smooth. But if you put it under a microscope, it's not. It looks like the Grand Canyon. And chemicals won't penetrate that. They'll just sit on the surface. So they don't kill mold underneath the surface or in the nooks, crannies, and crevices. Now, I always tell everybody that mold is systemic. In other words, once it's in one place, it's all over the place because of your HVAC system, because the returns and the supplies are the lungs of the house. And, it goes in through the return and it comes out through the supply, and it just keeps circulating those mold spores over and over again. So if you kill mold with a chemical, might look like it goes, we might kill it on the surface, but a lot of the mold, the data is there, is in your ductwork and in your coils, both inside and out. And chemicals won't do anything to get rid of that, but a gas will. In fact, I use the HVAC system to pump the gas. I turn the fan from auto to on, and that keeps it circulating. And it builds it up to a toxic level. Now, ozone is, so now you killed it in the ductwork, and you killed it on the coils, and you killed it in the nooks, crannies, and crevices. So you've really done a good job, as good as you can do, in getting rid of that without going into, maybe there's some additional work that would need to be done, but that's an effective way to do it. And that's a good way to do it. Also, I'm leery about, I eat clean. I try to be as healthy as I can, and I'm leery about chemicals that I put in and around my body. And if my thought on it is, if it's killing the mold, it's probably doing something to your system as well. So I use ozone, which is it's natural. We have an ozone layer in the atmosphere, keeps out harmful UV rays from the sun. It's what you smell when you go to the beach. It's what you smell when you go out after a thunderstorm. But when you build it up, I have equipment that oxygen, what we're breathing right now is two oxygen molecules bound together. And the equipment that I have charges the O2 and it attracts a third molecule, oxygen molecule, which makes it O3 now, which is ozone, again, which is natural. It's what you smell when you go out after a thunderstorm or at the beach. But when you generate it at a high level, it becomes toxic and it starts to kill things. In fact, ozone is the most powerful sterilant on the planet. And even hospitals are using ozone now. It kills all bacteria. So they use it not only to kill mold, but to kill MRSA, the superbug as well. So once you turn off the equipment, that third oxygen molecule falls away and now you've got oxygen. So no harmful chemical residue and it's safe. The other thing is not only does it do a good job, and I'll just close it out with it's on mold, but it does a great job on getting odors out. Like again, pet odors, cat urine, dog urine, smells. Just finally one quick anecdote. I was doing a job for one of the investors that I work with. He has 20 apartments or 20 homes that he rents out. One of them was unrentable because of a heavy cat urine smell. And so he was losing rent on it. And he called me, and that's the first thing you notice when you go into a house is the smell. It makes you either want to come in or go out. Also takes care of smoke odors, but it took me 4 times going out there. And finally he did his walkthrough and said the smell's gone. And I think he had the house rented out the same day. And I did use a combination of enzymes on that, which I think are fairly safe. So, yeah, and I do put a 1-year warranty on it, which home buyers like for realtors. Just says if the mold comes back, that I come back at no charge and take care of the situation. So that's what I do in a nutshell. And thank you very much for your time.